Episode 3, I mean, it was cool. I really don't got a lot to say about it. Not too much really happened, at least in my opinion. This was more so not necessarily filler, but kind of like that calm before the storm kind of thing. Episode starts off with Ellie, being released from the hospital, trying to, what I'm saying, get on, get to the next part. She's obviously trying to get to the people that, what I'm saying, took out Joel. And, obviously before she's able to get on up out of there, she has a conversation with the therapist who, it's like, all right, I understand the therapist trying to do her job, but all right, come on, get the fuck on. You know what I'm saying? We got shit to do. And, once she's able to get on up out of that, she meets up with Dina. And when she talks with Dina, she's able to figure out that Dina got intel, or she got information. She knows who the people are. She knows where they're going to be. And of course, Ellie is initially upset because she's like, oh, we wasted time and shit. Dina with reasoning lets her know, hey, you were not able to do this right then. Shit was going on. We had shit to do. And, it was better to just go ahead and let them get to where they was going to be, settle down, and then we attack them. So after that's being discussed, they go meet up with Tommy, let him know what's going on. And, Tommy, being the authoritative figure that he is, lets her know, hey, look, you're going to have to come to the town meeting with rationale and reasoning if you're going to get people to agree, because obviously he has to run this by Maria. But he does give her his word that he will back her up. Cool. Same thing when she meets up with Jesse and they have that talk. He lets her know, hey, look, I can't, he's trying to play things by the book, but yo, if you're gonna, letting her know as a friend, if you want to have this thing go well, we're gonna have to, come at it with rationale reasoning. Nobody's gonna listen to you if you're angry. These are all good points. I mean, it's kind of setting the scene, like I said, for what's to come. That's kind of what this whole episode was. I mean, when you get to the actual town meeting, I mean, that was cool, but like I said, most of this episode felt like filler. Like, we knew what was gonna happen. The first two people that spoke said that they wasn't comfortable with it. That should have let you know right there. Of course, you gotta have the old man speak, because you gotta have some opposition. Ellie does her thing, and then of course, bam, the town does not agree to, let her go out there with a few of their men to go just for the sole vengeance of, finding justice for Joel. And I mean, like I said, we knew that was going to happen. That's how this whole thing was kind of set up. So, and that's not even to say that's a bad thing. That's just kind of like, your classic, or, your regular kind of, I guess, I don't know, writing in this part. I don't know. I'm rambling, y'all. I'm yapping because I'm trying to just do this in one take. But I mean, there's not much for me to say. Like, if you played the game, this is the part, to anybody that does not know. Of course, Ellie and Dina end up leaving, but this is the part where they go to Seattle. And yo, like, this is like the most boring part of the entire game. Like, to anybody that played the game, when you get to this part, I think this immediately turns you off. You're probably in this area for like 2 hours. And this episode does start to introduce the element of scars, which, to people that don't know, are the people walking around with the, scars on their face. And they're going to be important later, but this episode does introduce them, and it also introduces the rest of the WLF, with Isaac and the rest of the members that were there with Abby when, they did the thing. And I will say, next episode does look like it's about to be cool, because that's when the action actually starts. But this, like I said, is when they first get to Seattle, and this part is boring as fuck. So this is like that middle ground, at least this episode. I think it started to get that way towards the end. And I think when the next episode begins, it covers a lot of ground just because of what the preview, if you look at the preview, it covers a lot of ground. So I do think that we are going to move quickly in the story, at least to a good point. But yeah, I really don't got much to say this episode. I mean, this was cool, but this is the calm before the storm. So everybody buckle your seatbelts now type shit. Like, now we about to get into the nitty gritty. It's about to get good. We about to go on the Vengeance tour. It's about to get good from now on. But this episode was cool. Like I said, it really set up the events for what's about to happen. So, I mean, that's really all I got for this episode. If you want me to go into more so of the dialogue that was being had throughout the show, like I said, if you want to go to the time where Ellie was speaking to the therapist when she was leaving the hospital, or if you want to go to Ellie and Dina talking, or if you want to go to Ellie, Dina, and Tommy all talking, or when it's Tommy and the therapist, or what, like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're all scenes that focus on Ellie and her temperament and why, like, what is the sole reason for her wanting to do this, and it all focuses on her, as like the rest of the story will. So, you know, there's not really much to say. We can have the same conversation for one scene that we can have about all of them, because that's what it focuses on. That's why, in my opinion, there's not really much to say. So if you came to this video, I appreciate you getting to this point. I apologize that there wasn't too much for me to personally talk about, just giving my opinion on the episode and letting you know what I thought about it and where it's about to go. I think it's about to get good. I think episodes like these are necessary. Like I said, kind of, it feels like filler, but it's, like I said, it's just setting up the rest of the story. You know, it can be something that's needed and still be something that wasn't particularly, you know, like super fire throughout the episode or whatever. I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, you can sit there and not have to necessarily enjoy an episode to understand that it's important in the storytelling and all that, and that's kind of what this episode was. So that being said, leave your comments and thoughts down in the comments below. I appreciate that you made it to this part in the video. Appreciate that you know what I'm saying, didn't mind my yapping. So yeah, with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next video, and y'all be safe.